everyone, it's Julia. I am working on an upcycled shirt today. I picked this up at the thrift store. It's just a long sleeve button down. It's an Old Navy brand and it's in a size large. And I love the vintage faded red look to this. This is my inspiration. I love this look. It's very just patchy, lots of slow stitching. And because I sell my stuff, a lot of my things in my Etsy store or my summer shop, this is just too labor intense. Now for a project for myself, I would do this, but for selling, I just can't. And so I'm going to be doing something similar with this shirt. It has a wonderful back on it too, a lot of spaces for just different things. But I decided just because I wanted to turn this into sort of an Americana patriotic shirt, for summer, I'm going to take the sleeves off of it. And I'm just cutting this approximately 3/4 of an inch away from that sleeve seam. Once it's all cut out, I'm going to be just turning that back, taking it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to be stitching right on that previous stitch line. I've got that stitched into place, and I wanted to share another photo of a shirt that I made recently where I slow stitched that down and also machine stitched it. Just love that look as well. Another option for you. I'm on to just figuring out what kind of design I want to put on this, and I've chosen a bunch of my patriotic Americana fabrics. I usually have these sorted in a bin, all of my themed fabrics, so they're easy to grab. I want to use this little placket that's also on this sleeve that I've cut out. I thought that'd make an interesting shape on this, and being able to add some of that same fabric back into my design. I want to use some denim, and I want it ripped just so I have that frayed edge to it. I'm just going to lay this out, just work and fiddling around with it just to see what I like. When I finished this design, and I was kind of, I don't know, just a little mad that I didn't think about this, but I should have made this into a pocket, and I didn't. I stitched it all down. But you know, you just have to, I don't know, go with it. Sometimes things work out, sometimes you think of things after the fact. But just adding these little pieces in. I wanted to put a button there right where that placket is, so that's what I just laid down. I'm taking a picture of this so I have my placement, because I am going to take these and spray the back of them with a temporary basting spray. I'll list the one that I use down below. This is just an easy way to apply a design without putting the heat and bond or paper adhesive on the back of it. It does not gum up my sewing machine. I have not had any problems with it. But I am having to put a little bit of a stabilizer behind this. This shirt is rather thin. It's just a cotton. So that really helps keep my stitches to lay flat when I'm doing my work. I'm at my sewing machine, and I am doing a free motion zigzag. So my zigzag is at about a 5 width. Just cutting my thread there. I have my darner foot on, and I have my feed dogs dropped. And notice when I'm just doing some doodling, I'm going in between these stars. When I go horizontal, it's almost a straight stitch, and when I'm going vertically, it's a zigzag stitch. So I'm doing all the movement. So sometimes my zigzag is not quite even because I don't have a stitch regulator on. It's just my own movement that's moving this. Doing some more doodling. If you haven't tried free motion zigzag, give it a try. It's a lot of fun. It's a kind of a wonky stitch, but just adds a neat look to a design like this. And again, doing some doodling on this denim. And then I'm going back and forth on this horizontal look or stitch. I'm changing my foot to my regular foot and raising my feed dogs. Decided just to straight stitch this placket on. It's rather thick and I didn't want to try to get my free motion foot over this. I thought I probably would end up breaking a needle. So I just switched to my regular stitching to get that placket on. And now I decided to do use some of my decorative stitches. This is a cross stitch that I really love on my sewing machine, and here it is again. It just has that cross stitch look and almost looks like it's hand done. And then I'm changing my thread to navy, and I have a star design, a decorative stitch, and so I'm doing that star design right here. I just did it a little ways, but it's just kind of a cute little detail, and you can see it there. It's fun to be able to use some of those stitches. Instead of using that dark button, I'm just going to cut the button off of that other cuff, and I'm just going to be putting that button on. I changed to my button sewing foot and just going to sew that little button right where the placket is. I love sewing my buttons on with my sewing machine. It's just a fast, quick way of doing it. Okay, and ripping off that stabilizer that I have on the back. Front is done, and I'm going to go on to the back. I wanted to use denim on the back as well, and also a flag stencil that I have. Just kind of measuring up, deciding how much of this denim I'm going to need, and then I'm just going to rip the shape. I will be using my Arteza fabric paint in color white. This fabric paint already has like a fabric medium added to it, so it's washable, and I really like working with it. Just putting a little bit on a plate, and I'm just going to use a makeup sponge to get that color down. Again, not doing a real careful job of this, just getting that paint where I want it. It's going to have a vintage look to it. And then laying the other part of the stencil down, and then adding the paint for these stars, and just again adding the white paint. I decided to add some of these stars also to the front, and I really did a wonderful job of just botching that up. Always clean your stencil before you go on to the next design. So I'm going to cover that up by just adding a little lace motif. And it actually turned out really nice. I like the added just a little bit of a different texture to it. For the back now, and to lay this out, I also decided to cut a piece of the placket of the shirt, and then also add some of this star fabric to the bottom. Wanting to take the same elements from the front to the back. There's that placket, and then again I'm going to put that same lace motifs on there. I'm going to spray these small pieces again with my temporary spray. Just spraying the back of them lightly and then adding those. I don't show how I stitch this at the sewing machine, but you'll see it when some close-ups here. And you can see it. I did straight stitch. I added the stars with an applique stitch, and then this straight stitched around that flag. I want that edge to continue to fray in the washing. That's kind of why I did it that way. I hope you enjoyed this, everybody, and hope you had a chance to create this week. I'll include some photos at the end. Bye for now.